What and welcome to the Tea or Coffee Club.
The tea or coffee? Hello, sir. Would you like tea or coffee?
Tea or Coffee, a film podcast with Thomas and Joe, with theme music by bensound.org. See description for more information.
What and welcome to Tea or Coffee Podcast, where we talk movies, films, and other related media. My name is Thomas, and joining me is a special guest, Stephen.
Hello.
This week, Doctor Strange was released on digital home media. It's the 14th movie in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and today we're going to be talking about it. To give a brief overview to the film, Marvel's Doctor Strange follows the story of a talented neurosurgeon, Dr. Stephen Strange, who after a tragic car accident put his ego aside and learned the secrets of a hidden world of mysticism and alternative dimensions. Based in New York City's Greenwich Village, Doctor Strange must act as an intermediary between the real world and what lies beyond, utilising a vast array of metaphysical abilities and artefacts to protect the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Stephen, what's it like having a superhero who has the same name as you?
Well, I think, it's pretty cool. I think Stevens are quite underrepresented in favour of Steves in a lot of media. So, he's putting the word out there.
Yeah.
Couldn't be happier.
Jolly good. So, we were talking beforehand, obviously, this character has been referenced before in Marvel films. He was referenced in Spider-Man 2 as one of the names that J. Jonah Jameson's secretary comes up for Doc Ock. And you were saying just before he's mentioned
or name dropped in Captain America: The Winter Soldier by, I can't remember the agent's name.
Agent Sitwell?
Probably.
I think it's Agent Sitwell.
The Halifax guy advert.
Yeah.
He lists the names of dangerous individuals and name drops Stephen Strange, which is the first instance of him existing in this scenario.
Yeah.
I think compared to the other names, it sort of stands out as a bit odd.
Yeah, because he's like Bruce Banner or Stephen Strange.
Tony Stark and this random guy who we haven't seen or heard of yet.
And we don't know sort of what stage of his life he's in. Is he already training at this point? Is he... Because Doctor Strange presumably takes place over a few months at least, maybe even years. But is he training at this point? Is he sitting at home as a neurosurgeon thinking, well, this guy's got a great mind, maybe... he'll heal lots of people who we harm by using neuroscience.
So it's nice when they sort of nod to other properties.
Yeah,
it gives hope for future films.
Yeah,
which obviously this one turned out to be.
And I'm looking forward to Howard the Duck film. So, so let's talk about the overall story. I just gave a plot summary of it.
That was well memorised, by the way.
There's no way that I read that. So it's a sort of very classic story of sort of arrogant person trauma leads to sort of rethinking of life, reevaluating, and coming out to be a bit of a hero.
Yes.
Was it a bit samey, or did you feel sort of it was more sort of this was retold in a sufficiently new way?
I think so. I mean, the first thing when you give that sort of brief synopsis is that sounds a lot like Iron Man.
Yeah.
Or Tony Stark's character. He's top of his game in what he's doing. He encounters a fall, some problem, that he has to overcome, and by the end, I would say more so in this case, Stephen Strange, he's a lot more humble than Tony Stark was. But yeah.
Yeah, I suppose. Yeah, the similarities have been made between the two characters. Both actors have played Sherlock Holmes, and both actors have a goatee when they're as superheroes.
Yes, they do.
So, but I think it's sufficient to say the world he operates in makes those similarities less sort of painstakingly obvious.
Yes, it's more general.
Yeah,
but I think there's plenty there to distinguish them.
Yeah. As characters, and hopefully when they meet up in future films, they won't be sort of too annoying together.
No.
So, as I said, it's a story of redemption, if you want, a story of coming around, coming to your senses. In that, there's various characters play their roles. You've got the ancient one, you've got a character who's love interest, who's not the love interest.
whose name escapes me.
Yeah.
Also,
Christine Palmer.
that's it. Christine Palmer. The Palmer Strange
The Palmer Strange thing.
technique.
Technically gets out to Palmer Strange because he doesn't want to use the strange technique because
Because
that's really weird.
I can't imagine why.
Yeah. Anyway, so you have Christine Palmer, you have the Ancient One, you have Mordo, you have Wong, and in many ways you also have the villain, who all each play a role in sort of shaping Strange in this film.
Yes.
What did you sort of think of those different dynamics, particularly maybe in regards to the Ancient One sort of being a bit shady?
Well, I think that was quite an interesting take on sort of the mentor figure, because a lot of time in films the mentor is this sort of pillar of, in a lot of sort of hero films, of the sort of the end goal of sort of goodness and sort of what's right. You know, she's trying to help, or part of defending this world from, or the world from otherworldly forces. But then to have sort of seeds of doubt thrown about her legitimacy, about her practicing what she's preaching, as it were. I don't think we've had too many of that. I can recall in.
No, I don't suppose we have.
Sort of thing. So it's
particularly in the MCU. I mean, the nearest maybe is Hank Pym. He's got some shady stuff from some of the stuff, but again, that's more applied at rather than actually said explicitly that he's sort of.
It's also kind of a where you draw the line of what for the greater good.
Yeah.
So argument can be made that in the end, what she was doing to help outweighed the method she got her powers to that extent. But at the same time, in Mordo's case, that shakes his faith in her and the magical community.
Yeah,
put it like that.
The wizard, we're not wizards, are they? The magicians, aren't they? The magic community, the sorcerers.
Yes.
I suppose Sorcerer Supreme. Well, she is Sorcerer Supreme. So I suppose the interesting thing for me was that her confidence in the situation was slightly undermined in that she seemed to believe that Mordo would sort of come round. I mean, she even says sort of, Strange, you'll be the brilliant one and Mordo will be your stability.
Yeah.
Preventing you from doing anything too stupid. As actually sort of Mordo at the end goes, well, I'm out of this, sort of, you've all let me down, now I'm going to go on a campaign of stopping sorcerers because there are too many of them, they keep breaking everything.
Yes.
So that was interesting, that her sort of perception of what's going to happen after her death wasn't sort of accurate.
Yes.
There were two main villains in this film. You got Cassius, as played by
Hannibal Lecter.
Hannibal Lecter, Jyn Erso's father, whose name is Mads Mikkelsen.
Yes,
I got it. I just my mind went blank. Not to confuse with Lars Nicholson, who's his brother, who plays the villain in the third season of Sherlock. Yeah, trivia drop.
Oh, there we go.
And then of course you have Dormammu, who is played by
motion
capture by Benedict Cumberbatch.
He is, yes. Not something I noticed during the film.
No,
and
neither did I.
Not really. I don't think now knowing that changes anything.
No.
Like, it's not noticeable. They do enough.
Yeah.
To distinguish those two.
Yeah, I think the idea behind it was that Dormammu doesn't have sort of a classical form in the universe. He is sort of a dark dimension. He's bigger than dark dimension. He's sort of all encompassing a dark dimension. So when he wants to talk to someone, he sort of mirrors them, but with a bigger face, basically.
Yes.
And that's about it. Really. It doesn't really.
A character without form, but obviously through the medium of film needs something for the audience to see. Yeah,
I suppose. Even sort of strange to see and talk to,
as opposed to thin air and a disembodied voice. It gives him presence, I think.
Yeah, and sort of he's just, and also sort of it gives a sense of scale as well, sort of. And I suppose that's very important to that scene where you just see Dormammu slaughter Strange again and again and again. I should say, this is a spoiler-heavy review.
This is a running theme, I think.
This is a running theme of the podcast. See, I've actually got a listener who listens to this podcast who knows that we keep forgetting about the spoilers. But this is, it's a spoiler-heavy review. You've probably seen the film if you're listening to this, or you probably don't care. And I say that every time as well.
You do. That's like the catchphrase.
It's a
You're
catchphrase.
getting one already. It's nice. It's nice.
You just need everyone to sign off to now as well, sort of.
Oh.
If you've listened to this podcast, you've probably read the title beforehand.
Yes.
Anyway, so so that particular scene, and it shows that Dormammu is sort of much more powerful than Strange, but Strange only beats him via just continually taking the loss on himself.
Yeah.
The thing goes in that line, isn't there? Sort of.
Yeah, it sort of helps. I think that's in some ways. I think that's quite an out the solution he has to solve this problem is quite an out there one. I think it helps to show his intelligence beyond his preferred field of neuroscience.
Yeah.
And that it's quite an out there almost battle strategy. But I for the mantle that he's then presumably going to take up in later films as the Sorcerer Supreme, I think that's quite fitting as showing that he's willing to think outside the box, maybe bend some rules of space-time and the universe for the greater good. Which also I think mirrors what the Ancient One did in bending some rules to protect people.
Yeah, I think in many ways they're very similar characters, and I think that's why the Ancient One is so sort of confident in Strange, and less so than in Casillas. I mean, initially she does train Casillas, and obviously Casillas does the old Darth Vader, get turned to the dark side. But yeah, she does seem to. I mean, even Mordo, she trusts Strange much more than she does Mordo, because she just knows what a hardened sort of warrior Mordo is. Mm-hmm. And it'd be interesting to see how he appears in later films. Obviously, he is a classic Doctor Strange villain, so I assume we'll be seeing him again.
Yeah. I like how we've started by talking about the ending of the film. But on that note, his insistence on trying to bargain with Dormammu, I think, also ties back into the fact that he is a doctor. Yeah. And he mentions at least once in the film he's taken an oath as a doctor not to take life. Yeah. But to save it. Yeah. I think, is that after he has a fight in someone?
That's after the Cloak of Levitation kills the other guy.
So, I mean,
he doesn't actually kill him, it knocks him out, and he goes in his astral form, and then Strange in his astral form uses his scientific instruments in the hospital to create an electric shock, which somehow projects to the astral plane and kills his attacker. Yes. Something like that.
Yeah. But I think it's quite... In some ways it's refreshing for a Marvel hero to have some sort of lament about having to dispose or the loss of life at threats, because a lot of the Marvel heroes, they're actually okay with, justified in the heat of self-defense or battle or whatever, sort of just throwing people out of planes, off the helicarrier.
Yeah, I suppose in
many
ways...
Shooting in the chest with a laser,
In many ways it's a bit like Hulk. Hulk, of all of them, or at least Bruce Banner, is sort of the most sort of guilt-ridden about of how he fights and things. And maybe that's the idea of sort of the beings of larger power do feel that extra burden of sort of what exactly are we doing, as opposed to Hawkeye, who's just a spy with a bow and arrow and sort of...
But he's very good with a bow.
He's very good with a bow and arrow. And he's got a family, so everybody likes him now.
Yes, I do.
He's fine.
I do like Hawkeye more after Age of Ultron.
Yeah, fine, whatever.
Oh,
I don't.
That's something for another podcast.
That's next time. Except it won't be Stephen, because it'll probably be me and Joe again next time.
Depends if I follow you home or not.
Yeah, or depends if we could do this over Skype.
Oh,
that'd be trendy, wouldn't it?
That would be.
Except you don't have a microphone, so
stay tuned.
Stay tuned for more information. If you like Stephen, give a thumbs up and share with all your friends. And if we get to 1,000 likes on YouTube, we'll definitely get him back.
Oh. That's quite generous.
There's no way.
With your viewers.
We're getting 1,000 likes on YouTube.
You never know.
Well, in that case, you're contracted to come back.
Hooray!
What do you think about the visuals as a whole in this film? This is a very visual film, a very trippy film. I mean, okay, it's not as bad as Duke and the Blue Cat, which is a remarkable film for psychedelic images, but it's still pretty odd. What did you think overall of the visuals?
I thought they were very good.
Yeah. That's good.
Yeah.
You'd be worried if they were bad at this
point.
14 films in, they haven't quite sorted out how to do visuals.
Yeah. A lot of the visuals sort of more spectacular ones come through the mirror dimension.
Yeah.
Which is sort of an excuse to warp buildings into kaleidoscope formations and impossible shapes without it really affecting anything or the notice of anyone else. But I think it's very impressive, especially in the climax. What they're able to do, especially at the very end, where.
Do you mean in the mirror dimension with H1's death, or do you mean sort of later on in the Dormammu's dark dimension?
Dark dimension, but more actually the time reversal.
Yeah, the time reversal scene. Yeah, of Tangleton.
Yes, when it all looks like it's gone to.
It's fallen to the dark dimension.
Yeah,
it's gone to Pox.
And through reversing time.
Yeah.
It's all, or mostly all, sort of repaired, and
yeah.
I think that's actually a really nice sequence. It does credit to the animators.
Yeah, the 3D.
The 3D people.
Artists.
My technical knowledge and terminology is clearly.
There's hundreds of people doing it. We sat through the credits, didn't we? We just counted. Well, we didn't count. We were just sort of like, and there's more visual effects artists. And there's some 3D modelers, and there's some 3D animators, and there's some...
The assistant modelers,
yes.
And here's a wall of names.
Here's a wall of names,
guys.
Yeah, and so it's there's lots and lots of visual in this sort of film.
Even the smaller effects, such as Doctor Strange's sling ring.
Yeah.
Or
Cloak of Levitation.
Cloak of Levitation. The way he can sort of using this as a gateway.
Yeah.
Into different rooms and stuff. It all sort of fits. You don't look at it and go, that's clearly a green screen and someone's edited that on. Like you can do with some really high budget films. You can get that sometimes.
I mean,
none of that.
Yeah.
That's all.
I mean, you can tell a lot of these shots are visual shots, but they feel rather seamless.
And the actors feel like they're there.
Yeah.
Rather than.
And again, that's down to good acting in front of green screen because they're really sort of understanding what's going on, even though they can't see it. So that's impressive. Do you think Doctor Strange is too powerful a character in this universe?
That's a good.
I suppose it comes down to how much he's bluffing with Dormammu. Has he actually got him in an infinite loop, or is he just saying your dimension doesn't really understand time, so I'm going to play this out and hope that you give in, because if I keep doing this forever, I'm just going to end up cracking the universe, whatever. But
yes, but then I suppose the loop he's set up is within the dark dimension.
Yeah.
So it probably wouldn't.
He would crack the dark dimension, not hit Earth.
In which case, if the dark dimension's damaged, destroyed, that saves Earth either way, because so
presumably at the cost of Doctor Strange and Infinity Stone.
I don't think, at least in this one, I don't think he's as powerful as perhaps he could be. Yeah. I know, obviously it's not so much mentioned in the film, but there are, within the comics lore, more artefacts of mystical power or cosmic power that exist.
And stuff like that.
Yeah, things which could be seen as overpowered. I suppose the main thing is that he has the Time Infinity Stone, which is revealed at the end that is what it is, the Eye of Agamotto. And I suppose if you have an item that can reverse time, repair things, bring people back from the dead, there is an aspect of that, but I think they're probably going to be quite careful, I think, with how they use that.
I hope so, yeah, because I mean there's a sense in which, but even something like the mirror dimension, and if you got the T'Challa invading the Avengers and he just goes, "You're all in the mirror dimension."
Yeah,
they can't.
Nothing.
You can't harm everything. Okay, I've got to go into mirror dimension and kill you all one by one at some point, but at least you're in there. And I could probably, I probably can send someone else in there to fight you anyway.
Yeah. He could be, but I think they'll be careful in having any sort of threat. Maybe not negate his powers, but will not be able to be so contained easily.
Yeah, I suspect in Infinity War, I mean, there's a rumour that Thanos will have, what are they called? They're called something like the Shadow Order or the Dark Order with him. They're basically 4 individuals, and one of them, I think, is a magician. So I think if they might sort of go with that in Infinity War, where if you got Strange, you pit him against another sorcerer, so they're at least fighting on equal terms.
Equal terms, yes.
And then sort of or at least Thanos himself can sort of smash his way out of a mirror dimension if he's put into it, something like that.
Yes, because we know from, I forget the Guardians of the Galaxy stinger at the end, he says, if you want a job done, do it yourself.
As
and we
Age
say
of
that
Ultron, yeah.
That one, sorry. That he's at least got the Infinity Gauntlet.
Yeah, he's got an Infinity Gauntlet.
So,
do you want to talk about briefly the location of the 6 Infinity Stones?
yeah, we can do.
So the Tesseract is on... Actually, I'm going to get this right because there's a good theory coming up, which is why I want to do this. There's a Tesseract, which is on Asgard. That's a blue
space, the
space stone. You got the Ether, which is the Reality Stone, which is the red one in Thor: The Dark World.
Which isn't really a stone.
Which
at
isn't
least
really
at
stone.
This point.
It is stone, but it was contained in sort of stone-like thing, and it was given to the Collector.
Yes, it was.
You've then got the I don't do the Power Stone, which was in an orb.
Yep.
It's important that it was in an orb.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a Power Stone. It's a purple one, and that is on. That's a Nova Corps.
Nova Corps on, yes.
You then have Loki's Scepter, which is the Mind Stone, and that's currently in Vision's head. You then have the Time Stone, which is the Eye of Agamotto, which is contained in a necklace. I say necklace for a very good reason, because so far we have TANOS. We're only missing one more stone. If that stone is in sync begin with H, you have Thanos spelt out over the... Ooh. So I'm going to say it's in Thor's hammer, which is how Thor's hammer knows if you're worthy, because the missing stone is a soul stone.
Yes.
And if it's a soul stone, it looks into people's souls and say, are you worthy to wield this hammer? That's one theory, which I'm in favour of.
Interesting.
Obviously, if we continue with the H theme, there's one rumour...
Hammer.
Yeah, hammer. H for hammer. That's the reason. The reason why is that it could be in Heimdall's eyes. You know, the Asgardian god.
Yes, and
his eyes glow the same colour as, so they could go an orangey colour, which is presumably what the Soul Stone will be. The other rumour is that it's with Kate Blanchett's character in Thor Ragnarok, who's called Heather. So throwing those together, there's at least 3 options in Thor Ragnarok alone as to where the stone could be.
Yes.
It's not in Guardians of the Galaxy 2. James Gunn says it's not in that film, so assuming he's not lying, it's not in that film.
Okay. Unless it is.
It's probably not in Spider-Man Homecoming. You know, there's a H Homecoming. You know, it could be a
could
dance.
Where is the last stone? It's at home.
But it seems to be a little odd if it's at another Earth location, basically. If they're all on Earth, it's a little weird.
That so many of these powerful objects happen to be on this one planet.
Yeah. The other option is Black Panther, which is the only other film coming out before Infinity War.
Okay.
I think. I don't think Ant-Man and Wasp. I think Ant-Man and Wasp comes out after Infinity War.
I think so.
So Black Panther's the only other film it could be in.
Maybe that's where Wakanda gets a lot of his technology superiority from.
Something like that. Something like that could be the house of the Black Panther or something, or something like that. And again, the hate. There's no confirmation that it will be related to hate. It's just it sort of fits if we say that Doctor Strange necklace is N.
Yeah, I mean that would all fit together nicely.
It make fanboys very pleased.
It would. All the speculation, it paid off.
Yeah.
I think the only thing with it being in Thor's hammer, other than I think in Thor doesn't Odin sort of the enchantment.
Yeah, he speaks enchantment.
He speaks to it. So, which makes you think it didn't do that before.
Yeah.
And brings the question is, if it's in the hammer, does then Thor lose his hammer? Does anyone use the hammer and it has no power?
Well, there's one other small thing about this is there's a concept art piece for Infinity War, which has Rocket Raccoon shooting a gun, and in the background there's Thor, and he's wielding an axe. And which again sort of might suggest. I mean, he might wield an axe for all sorts of reasons, because in the comics he does get an axe version of Mjolnir. What did you said?
There's an umlaut.
There's an ultimate Mjolnir. Mjolnir. There's an ultimate version which is sort of there's a hammer at the front and an axe at the back. So it could be that. I mean, they could. Could
be cool to see.
It could be sort of he just gets an upgraded version. It's not necessarily that sort of he loses it, but again he might lose it. because that's one way of
powering
Thor down.
The quote-unquote god.
Yes.
Is to take away his all-powerful weather-controlling hammer.
So that's Infinity Stones. I think we've sussed it out. It's in Thor's hammer, and Kevin,
Spider-Man's house,
Spider-Man's
under
house.
his bed, maybe in a pebble collection that his parents left him.
Yeah,
something to do with that.
Something to do with that. Yeah,
we'll wait and see.
But it's definitely not in Guardians of the Galaxy, Volume 2.
Probably.
And actually, there's the only other option. Well, not the only other option. There's no other option.
It has to be one of these.
This will break the dear old H rule, but in Guardians of the Galaxy, in the collector's room, is a large cocoon which is said to have Adam Warlock in it. Adam Warlock being a member of Guardians of the Galaxy, part of sort of a superhuman race who are all gold, and he could easily have it because in the comics he does briefly possess the entire Infinity Gauntlet. He does also, I think, he possesses the Soul Stone at points.
Yeah,
so
I think so.
It could be Adam Warlock in that cocoon, but that wouldn't be in Guardians of the Galaxy. That would have to be in another film because James Gunn said it's not in Guardians of the Galaxy, and James Gunn's truthful.
I think when you first see the Collector at the end of Thor 2 and they hand him the ether, I believe he says something along the lines of 1 down, I don't know, 7 to go, 5 to go or something.
So that implies he doesn't have
it. That's the first one he's got.
And Warlock's cocoon is in there at the time
already.
So
unless it's unknown to him.
Yeah, that would be the main. It could be. I've got it as a hunch, but I don't know it's in there.
True.
So, but yeah, that would definitely be an option. Right, what else do we have before we go on to rating? Do you want to talk about the music at all? I really like the music for this film. It was very sort of mysterious and very sort of bow ba da da bow 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 sort of stuff, and I've listened to that music a lot.
See, I've only seen it once.
Yeah.
And I don't recall any specific music that stands out. So I mean, I guess it all set the mood, it all fitted, nothing sounded out of place, but nothing...
It didn't stand out. It wasn't sort of like listening to Star Wars and you immediately sort of get those sort of tunes in your head, or listening to Harry Potter and again sort of you get that music in your head.
No, it didn't have a specific sort of main theme or leitmotif. I mean, there must have been some in there, but nothing that stood out maybe the same way as perhaps the Avengers theme does, even though that's
fair enough.
Only plays a few times.
So, on to the rating system. I should explain to new listeners that the rating system is the reason why we call our podcast Tea or Coffee. We compare a film or a TV show or a related media to a type of beverage. And Stephen's going to go first because he's had time to think about this and I haven't.
Wait, what? Well, you see, I liked it. I did like this film. I'd probably put it above some of the other standalone MCU entries. In terms of comparing to a beverage, though, this is where I'm drawing a slight blank. Something I liked it, so it was nice. So let's go with a nice cold glass of Pepsi Max.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's refreshing, because this was kind of a bit more mystic, a bit more of that side, the supernatural side of the MCU. I mean, I know there's Thor and that, but that tried to sort of be, magic and science are the same thing, whereas this is sort of, there is a scientific explanation for it, but just saying, it's basically magic is enough, and I'm okay with that. That's magic, just accept it.
Yeah, I just had a great idea of what I'm going to give it. I'm going to give Doctor Strange a Dr. Pepper.
Oh, I'm so ashamed I didn't think of that myself.
Because it's like sort of Pepsi and Coca-Cola, but it's slightly its own thing. It's got a bit of a different sort of feel to it. It's got the same sort of vanilla, whatever that thing is, to taste, but it's got a small twist on its own. So it's like very much a mainstream Marvel movie, but with a slight edge to it that takes it in a different direction. So I'm going for Dr. Pepper, and I like Dr. Pepper. And Doctor Strange is Dr. Pepper, and you heard it here first.
I don't think we can... I can't beat that.
Well, you're not meant to. You've already given your verdict.
That's true.
So that's the end of Doctor Strange. Do you want to talk about the MCU generally, the next 3 films? Spider-Man Homecoming, Guardians of the Galaxy, and the other one, Thor Ragnarok?
Thor Ragnarok.
Obviously, Doctor Strange post-credit scene. This is links in segment.
This is
segue.
great.
Sorry, not
Talk
segment.
about the post-credit scene
Post-credit
after the rating.
Yes.
The post-rating bit of the podcast.
Yeah, we so planned this.
We did.
So, are you looking forward to Thor Ragnarok and having a bit of Dr. Strange in it?
Yes, I am. I liked Doctor Strange in this film, which is good considering he's the main character.
Oh, yeah.
I'm intrigued to see more. It's going to be fun to see him. Obviously, he's a magician.
Yeah.
Interacting with Thor.
Yeah.
Obviously, Thor's sort of becoming accustomed to life on Earth or Midgard, from a world of sort of quote unquote magic.
Yeah.
Doctor Strange, obviously, he's used to the Earth because he lives there,
Yeah.
but he's now got these extra powers. So it's interesting to see him interacting with similar sort of powered beings, I guess.
Yeah, more. Yeah, I suppose there's the beings who can also wield Infinity Stones, which aren't that many of on Earth. What amused me about this scene is that you've just had civil war, and then sort of Thor presumably has just come back to Earth looking for Odin, as he says. And it's like, should I go and see Stark or Rogers? No, they seem to have a little bit of a squabble. Well, you know what, I'm going to go and see that new guy on the block
that no one else knows
no
about.
one else knows about, and sort of is completely sort of above all this sort of civil war sort of
malarkey.
Yeah, exactly. And it just slightly amused me. Obviously, I think Doctor Strange also sort of summoned him there as well, because he's like, why have you brought Loki to Earth? What exactly are you doing with Loki?
See, that also intrigues me as well.
Yeah.
Because have you seen
I've seen
Thor
Thor
2? You've seen Thor 2.
I've seen Thor Dark World.
See, obviously, spoilers for the end of that.
This is spoiler heavy for every MCU film up to this point, and maybe for future films if we're right about Thor's hammer being the Soul Stone.
Is it a spoiler if you guess
No.
and it's right? This is... Anyway, that's beside the point.
That's
for
beside
another
the point.
day.
But people might say, well, no one's going to say it, but people might say that it's a spoiler if we're right.
Curse that tea and coffee. They spoiled my future enjoyment.
Kevin Feige is sending a lawsuit as we speak.
But at the end of that film, it's revealed that Odin is not Odin, it's Loki.
Yeah.
Which part of me kind of wishes they hadn't shown that, and that had been a twist in this new one.
Yeah.
But then this one implies that Thor's also found out, and Odin is missing, but not by Loki sending him, because Loki's here to look for him. So that actually intrigues me as to what is actually going on, which probably plays into
Thor Ragnarok.
And is there a new villain probably in that?
Oh yeah, there's
assume?
various characters. Obviously, Kate Blanchett's character Hela, who we mentioned, who also has the Soul Stone. They've all got the Soul Stone. She's definitely a villainous character, and she could again very easily sort of have some involvement in Odin's disappearance and stuff like that. Then again, also we know that a large part of Thor Ragnarok is also going to take place with Hulk on a gladiator place. So there's lots of different things going on, which is rightly why I'm really looking forward to it, because I just think here's a chance for Thor to do something different, rather than just have more stories set on Earth, which the first two really were, with Natalie Portman's character, who wasn't really that interesting, to be honest. Here's a chance to sort of put Thor out there in the universe with mystical beings, with grotesque monsters like Hulk, and just with being sort of who more his equal, and who don't want to conquer Earth because it's Earth.
Yes. Also, looking forward to seeing the return of Bruce Banner and the Hulk in this film.
Yeah, I don't know if Bruce Banner's going to be, but Hulk is.
Oh well, I suppose by extension,
yeah.
Bruce Banner in some point. In the two Avengers films, obviously the Hulk, his main thing is he's really strong and he can smash a lot of stuff. So, like you said, it's been nice to see him sort of face some sort of equal strength beings, and maybe
put him like before, put him out in the universe a bit rather than sort of put him around sort of generic.
How many skyscrapers
CGI
left do we have?
Yeah.
This is speculation, but I know in some versions of the comics, Bruce Banner and the Hulk are separate personalities.
Yeah.
And I know sometimes the Hulk has to sort of ask, in some ways, Banner for help from within his head, for more strategy about when just punching something doesn't work. So it's kind of a Jekyll and Hyde thing. Obviously, I don't know if they go to that extent, but that's sort of maybe them becoming a bit more separate,
Yeah.
or more the same person. I'm not explaining this very well.
Yeah,
Sort of
it
Hulk fighting a bit more tactically, perhaps, than just
Yeah.
Hulk smash. Let's punch everything until it falls.
I mean, that's I suppose one of the key things about Planet Hulk is the fact that sort of it's entirely Hulk based, but he starts to become more intelligent and sort of bearing more of Banner's own traits,
Yes.
where he is able to sort of become a very much a key figure in this rebellion versus the Red King. Spoiler alert for the premise of Planet Hulk. If you haven't read the comic book or seen the animated film adaptation, which is on Netflix, and you can go and watch it if you want.
Hashtag not a sponsor.
Oh yes, I've
Hashtag could be a sponsor.
hashtag
Hashtag stop saying hashtag. I'm sorry.
give us your money, Netflix, or we'll quote Amazon Prime next week.
Oh, shots fired.
No, right, Netflix. I mean, yeah,
I've got nothing against them.
I don't really watch them, but
No.
but they've let me watch Planet Hulk, so you know.
No one's
that's
ever
fine.
asked me to Amazon Prime and chill, so you know.
So that's really sort of all the Marvel talk for this week. We've got a new segment of this show. It's called Stephen Talks Twilight. He's a huge Twilight fan, aren't you, Stephen? And we just want to hear some of your thoughts about whether this series should come back in a big way.
Well, Thomas, I've always liked the Twilight. When the sun starts to set and the stars come out, I think that's actually quite a nice time. Obviously, if living in a town, maybe light pollution is a problem, and it saddens me slightly. Though,
And we
to
need
be
to get
honest,
more Twilight in our lives.
more Twilight in our lives, so we can appreciate the majesty of the stars in all their glory.
I don't know if I'll leave it in. Maybe. Why not? So yeah, do you have anything else to talk about, Doctor Strange or Marvel or anything like that? Will you be watching all 3 Marvel films this year,
I'm hoping to. Marvel films,
money permitting?
money permitting, because these films are gonna at least make me deeply consider parting with my cash to see them on the big screen.
Yeah.
When perhaps
Yeah.
the first couple of Thors wouldn't have done, but
Yeah.
Ragnarok, as it's a bit of slight ensemble,
Yeah.
I think I'm more interested in it than I would be otherwise.
Yeah. I mean, particularly I'm looking forward to seeing the first trailer for that, just to sort of really see the tone they're going to be selling us, and yeah, and
No, that's true. We've only got
we've only got a few
somewhat of a premise.
somewhat premise and somewhat of these other people in it, sort of stuff. But yeah, it'll probably be pretty good.
Yeah.
Or it won't be, but we can't do anything about it because we're just sitting here in a house talking about films we have no involvement in.
Are we in a house though?
As you were meant to point out at the start of the show, we are on the beach in the south of France.
We are. We're on location because why not?
We're at a 40-minute mark. Well, probably not once this is edited, but this was at the 40-minute mark when we were talking. That's probably everything for this week.
It might be. If we add more stuff at the end, you can put this bit in at the actual 40-minute mark and continue from there.
Yes, or not.
And then no one will know why you've announced we're at the 40-minute mark for seemingly no reason. And except if you would have to probably keep this bit in to know that we recorded more after that bit.
Yes. Well, okay.
Which I'm a fan of. Let's do it. I have got some more things.
Oh, Stephen's got some more things.
So-
Wow, this is getting long. No, it's fine.
We haven't exactly gone in any sort of specific order, really, all over the place.
Yeah,
bit.
that's fine.
Benedict Cumberbatch has obviously plays Doctor Strange. I think he's very good at that.
Yeah, I mean, it's that sort of role he has played. That sort of arrogant, intelligent role is one he's used to playing.
Yes,
but he's still pretty good at it.
But I like I kind of feel like there's more of a human aspect with Stephen Strange in this. I mean, obviously he's the top of his game. He's this really, I don't know about famous, but he's a very good neuroscience.
Hydra. He's on Hydra's Wanted List.
That is true. So he must be pretty not known.
Yeah.
Yes, he's arrogant, but he's also sometimes he can be endearing with his arrogance.
Yeah.
I think at the start, especially with the lady whose name I
Christine
forget. That's Palmer. That's it, with Palmer.
Don't say that sentence again, so
it
doesn't look like you've got
No.
a name.
Palmer. I like the relationship those characters have. Obviously, at the start, it's implied that they had a previous relationship with their friends.
Yep.
Then obviously he has his accident. That's his fall from grace.
That's his fall from grace. Yeah.
Texting while driving.
Yeah.
on a wet road, on a cliff, in a sports car. And this guy's
Yeah.
supposed to be smart.
Yes, that's a very interesting observation.
He crashes, obviously, and he loses the use of his hands for neurosciencing.
Neuroscience.
And
Neurosurgery.
yes.
Surgery. Something like that.
But whereas unlike we've mentioned comparisons to Tony Stark, he has his accident, he comes back. He's still in a position to change things. He still has his money and his sort of influence to some degree. Whereas Stephen Strange, that's all he had, and he uses all his money and wealth to try and help him recover. And by doing that, he becomes so focused on that he neglects the few people, mainly Christine Palmer, who's sticking by him.
Yeah.
And there's sort of the breaking point where she says, I've been here for you, but I can't do this anymore, Stephen.
Yeah, because he just regards it sort of as false pity, sort of that's what you do as a job. Sort of you just have pity on people.
Yes.
And she's like,
he's quite mean in that. I mean, I know he's a broken man in that, but he does step a line.
That's to me also there's a difference between him and Stark. In that Stark actually gets people around him to laugh at his arrogance. Sort of people find him Stark relatively amusing, and sort of he's popular as a result.
Yeah.
As Strange's arrogance tends to actually sort of isolate him, rather than sort of making friends. He's not sort of like the cool arrogant guy. He's the arrogant guy.
And then by becoming solo, by losing literally everything. I mean, even his watch gets broken. His last remaining watch.
His last remaining watch.
I think it's revealed at the end was a gift from Palmer.
Yeah.
At some point, he then comes back and he is changed. And I suppose you'd hope that something like that would change someone for the better, but it's different enough than what we've seen in the MCU before this. I was able to connect, I think, with that his character's plight more than perhaps some of the other characters.
Yeah,
in this.
Yes.
And the fact that although it's shown that he still likes Palmer, he still likes Christine, it doesn't. Do they kiss at the end? I don't think they do.
No,
do
they
they?
don't.
I like that they left. They didn't go complete sort of standard Hollywood happy film ending.
Yeah.
And sort of it's open, but it's not cliche.
Yeah, I think it's fair to say. I don't think they went all sort of. Yeah, they deliberately left it just sort of distinct as different rather than sort of trying to sort of do the same old sort of thing they've done before with Thor and Iron Man and Captain America.
He saves the day, but not everything is back to normal and fine.
No.
There is consequences.
And I think that's very much his own story as well. His hands at the end of the film aren't healed.
No, and he finds he could use his magic to just keep his hands healthy and go back to how he was.
Mm-hmm.
But from what he's learned and what's happened, that's not something he might be tempted to do that, possibly, if things get tough in the future, but he's grown enough to know that that's not what... There's more to life than being a famous neuroscientist with monies.
Yeah, and in many ways, he's also honouring sort of the Ancient One's legacy, that he's prepared to learn and ultimately to take her place. I mean, he didn't say that explicitly, but you have that scene at the end where he takes off the Time Stone, and Wong says that one day you'll be able to wear that all the time. One day you'll master it, and sort of that sort of idea that he's not done being a sorcerer, and he's not stopping at that level. He's going to push it, and that this is sort of his new focus, his new outlook on life. This is who he's going to be from now on. He's not going to go back to what he was. He's been broken, and he's still broken, but he's grinding through that. Just like the story is about, sort of the sorcerers are broken. They lose the Ancient One. They lose many other good sorcerers as well. Yeah. Which appears more in the deleted scenes actually, but now sort of they're ready to rebuild again, and Mordo's obviously still out there. We talked about him before, and and
he doesn't take the title of Sorcerer Supreme in this film. He partly, I think, out of respect for the Ancient One, would you say? And
I
or
think
more
also-
that he doesn't want that sort of level of authority after he's only been doing this for perhaps a couple of months.
Yeah, and
And
I don't think he is. He's not as powerful. He's very talented, and I think that's maybe one thing I could have emphasised better. That he isn't just an average sorcerer. He is actually really good at what he does, and it's not just. I mean, there's that one scene. I think when Mordo says, "Sort of, look, you've got more than just a great memory for spells," and I think they didn't really sort of push that any further.
No.
But that was sort of very much sort of true. That he is actually more talented. He is the Anakin Skywalker of his group of monks.
Monks.
Like Jedi's and monks, they're
true.
monks. They're better monks.
What did you think of Mordo's
Staff, boots.
No, well, we could talk about that, but the at the end where he's like, that's the problem with this world, too many sorcerers.
Yeah.
To have such he is one, and he's been fighting to protect the Earth, but now he's like, even though these guys are protecting the Earth, I want to stop them.
I think he's arguing that they're breaking the Earth. That you have all these sorcerers who are twisting reality, which is one thing he's very much against. He's against sort of the natural breaking of the natural law, isn't he?
Yeah.
And his point is, and he says, okay, I've come around to say, look, sorcerers are meant to break what is normal. That's how sorcery works. But the problem is there are too many people doing this, so therefore I'm going to. Basically, there's too many people doing it irresponsibly. Like that guy, he's just using it to sort of make sure he keeps on walking and his hands don't shrivel up. It's like, this has got to stop. We need to just have a huge pullback on magic and save it just for protecting the Earth from Dormammu, basically.
I guess that's that bit there sets him up. Does set him up quite favourably is maybe not the right words, but as a future villain.
Yeah.
Here's a guy who has magical powers, who's used them purely to basically to keep him walking from his paralysed state, and Mordo's like, I'm going to start with you and take your powers, and now you're stuck in your workshop basement as a cripple.
Yeah.
Pretty mean thing to
It's
do.
a pretty mean thing to do, yeah. As the things go, that's pretty mean.
So, while I would argue the logic of being a sorcerer and taking someone who's not causing really any problems power away, as a setup for more to come, I think actually that's quite a good.
Yeah.
That's quite a good move.
And we just come back to the post-credit scene again.
Well, is that post credit or was that?
Well, no, there's pre-credit, which is the 4-1, which is in the middle of
Oh,
credit.
and that's the
That's
post
the mid-credit, and then the post-credit is the Mordo one. Because they tend to do the sort of set up a different film, set up the sequel. So they set up, just like Ant-Man did the Civil War one and it did the Wasp one. So it set up its own sequel and it set up Ant-Man's appearance in a different film. This one set up for Doctor Strange's appearance in 4 as well as setting up
then set up a possible future
Doctor Strange film, which is yet to be announced because they're very busy making Infinity War.
Yes.
We're spending a year filming. We're filming 2 films, but
Yeah.
exciting stuff.
Are there any other characters or things that you?
We didn't really talk
Care to
about
mention?
Casillas, but it wasn't really much
Is
to
he
talk
villain?
about.
Yeah, it's kind of Marvel villain syndrome. He's kind of evil for vague-ish reasons, or he just wants power, and
We want to
he
live
should have
forever.
read to the end because the warnings are at the end.
Yeah.
After the spells.
Great joke. Or it was a pretty good joke. Or
That's very
depending on...
Wong found it funny.
Wong found it
I
funny.
found it funny. Do you want to talk about Wong?
I like
Is there much
Wong.
to say?
He liked Beyonce.
That was I did that. It has the sort of you said typical Marvel humour. There's a few quips and one-liners and sight gags, but it's not doesn't derail.
No, I mean my favourite one is still where Casillas kills the New York master.
Yeah.
And Doctor Strange stands stop and he goes stop, and he goes something like your world will end, Mister. And he goes it's Doctor. He goes
Mr. Doctor.
It's strange.
Yes.
Maybe. Who am I to judge?
Yeah.
I just like that one. That for me was. I mean, the Wi-Fi one was pretty good as well. Sort of, what's this? My Marjora. It's a Wi-Fi password.
Yes. We're not complete barbarians.
Yeah. But yeah, it had some nice moments.
Yeah, some lighter moments to break up the tension.
Yeah, but it wasn't sort of Ant-Man or Guardians of the Galaxy sort of everything. This is so ridiculously hilarious sort of, and it just gets, it just keeps it. It was more a darker tone. We had Scott Derrickson, who directed it, is traditionally a horror film director, and I think that sort of did come across in a sort of a mysticism way he presented some stuff. It wasn't a horror film, but it was sort of, you can see the elements sort of seeping through, especially with some of that really weird sequence where Megatron throws Strange into the multiverse, and he goes through his own face, which is made up of different hands, and all his hands.
The hands bit. Oh, that was something, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was a bit trippy, psychedelic.
Yeah, I forgot about that. Oh, I remember. Oh, now I'm getting like shivers. That was weird.
Yeah.
More hand faces in films.
Actually, when in the production of this film, Scott Derrickson wanted to use the Nightmare dimension with the villain Nightmare.
Yes.
So, assuming they didn't get around to doing it, that could be in a sequel. We could end up with mystical dreams to throw into our mystical dimensions and stuff, which I'd be all up for.
Freddy Krueger cameo, perhaps. Part of the MCU confirmed.
Yeah. Well, we're now at the 40-minute mark.
Wait a minute. It's like we've gone back in time. Segway! One thing I'll just randomly point out that I noticed, because things.
Sure.
They're talking about artifacts at one point during his magician training? I keep forgetting how we're referring to this.
Magician training, sorcerer training.
Sorcerer training. Obviously, Mordo has his boots of... probably a name for them.
His staff is the staff of Living Tribunal. His boots are the boots of Kaganoto.
Now, I don't know the
I
Kaganoto,
think that's right, but I pulled out...
But I do, through comic culture osmosis, the staff of the Living Tribunal. The Living Tribunal is a cosmic being in the Marvel Universe.
Yeah, he's a big...
He's got 3 faces, I think.
He has a big involvement in the comics in the Infinity Gauntlet trilogy.
Yes, and he meets Doctor Strange several times.
Yeah.
And has at least died at least once, despite being something that shouldn't be able to die.
Doesn't he find him dead on the moon or something?
That might be the Watcher.
Yeah, the Watcher's Stan Lee in these films, isn't it?
Oh, well, maybe.
That's a theory.
That's a theory for another day.
Yeah.
But again, little things from the comics, maybe nothing, maybe something.
Yeah.
And it's nice to see them
reference it. And I think they do just like throwing things out there, and if something sticks, they can use it, and if it doesn't, then it doesn't really matter.
Yeah. Do you want to add the Cloak of Levitation?
What about it?
It's in there.
It's a murderous thing.
It is. It basically almost kills a guy.
Yep.
It saves Strange from lots of things. It seems to have a mind of its own. It's almost its own character, I would argue. It has some funny moments.
Some sad moments. Oh no.
We need a Cloak of Levitation spin-off origin film. Maybe not.
Cloak of Levitation Hound Duck crossover movie.
Yes.
Does that force hammer?
Yeah. They all go on an adventure together.
Captain America's shield. They just go on an adventure together.
Bring in the Pet Avengers.
Yeah, the Pet Avengers.
Into the MCU.
It's somewhere in the multiverse. There's got to be Pet Avengers.
That's the thing with the multiverse. They've brought it up. They could do what they want now.
Anything at all.
If
they can even bring DC across if they want, or the X-Men.
That'd
be fun.
That could be. We've got Spider-Man.
Yeah, we've got
Come on, Fox. It can be done.
Yeah.
Let's borrow Wolverine.
Yeah. Or Fantastic Four. Just give them Fantastic Four and let them do Fantastic Four properly.
Yeah.
And so we can have Galactus for Phase 4.
Yes.
As a villain, because we
need
a new villain.
We need another big purple.
Yeah. We've got
humanoid man.
We've got Dormammu, and we've got
Thanos. We need another... complete the trilogy.
Big purple.
Big purple planet eater.
Yeah, exactly. Anything else, or shall we wrap it up there?
I think we can probably wrap it up there, or otherwise we might be here for a little bit longer.
Yeah, and we're going to run out of charge on our
equipment.
So, thank you very much for listening. Please subscribe to us on iTunes, Soundcloud, and YouTube. We're on all of those now. You can give us a like, you can comment. If you've got one to talk about a film, you can even post in the comments. And as I said, 1,000 likes means we'll probably get Stephen back, and we probably won't otherwise.
It was a pleasure. It was a pleasure. Thank you for having me.
And do you want to do your sign off?
My sign off. This has been Stephen. Don't worry, I don't know who you are either. But thank you for listening, and maybe see you in the future.
Bye.